Imagine possessing the deepest pockets on the face of the earth, yet finding yourself completely unable to purchase a simple bottle of water without first seeking written permission from a corporate committee sitting 5,000 miles away. In October of 2021, Newcastle United was acquired by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, the PIF. Overnight, a stagnant, historically underachieving football club in the industrial northeast of England transformed into, on paper at least, the wealthiest sporting institution on the planet. The supporters flooded the streets, drinking brown ale and celebrating the dawn of an unstoppable new dynasty. They firmly believed they were destined to become the next Manchester City. Now, cut to the brutal reality of the present day. We see paralyzed transfer windows. We see critical negotiations dragging on for weeks, only to end in highly public, embarrassing failures. We see managers and sporting directors visibly frustrated by a complete and utter lack of agility in the open market. It begs a fascinating macroeconomic question. How can the richest football club in the world consistently appear as though it has run out of money? The answer is not found on the football pitch. The answer is found in the rigid, unforgiving architecture of corporate governance. Newcastle United is not stagnating due to a lack of available capital. It is being suffocated because it operates as an incredibly low-priority asset trapped inside a sovereign ecosystem worth nearly $1 trillion. Today, we are going to audit the most aggressive sovereign wealth fund in the world. We are going to deconstruct how corporate bureaucracy, artificial market inflation, and global geopolitics have effectively turned the ultimate footballing dream into a logistical nightmare. I am your auditor. The boardroom is now in session. To comprehend the paralysis infecting Newcastle United, you must first zoom out and examine the towering hierarchy of the sovereign wealth fund that actually controls it. The Public Investment Fund is spearheaded by Yasser Al-Rumayyan. He is, on paper, the chairman of Newcastle United. However, he is simultaneously the chairman of Saudi Aramco, the single most valuable oil company on the planet. He is personally overseeing the construction of NEOM, a $500 billion futuristic megacity rising from the desert. He bankrolled the hostile corporate takeover of Global Gulf through LIV. He is currently structuring the geopolitical architecture for the 2034 FIFA World Cup. Placed inside that colossal, mind-bending portfolio, where exactly do you think the acquisition of a center-back on a cold Tuesday in January ranks? Let us put the raw numbers on the boardroom table. The entire transfer budget for Newcastle United for a given season, let us say £150 million, is the exact financial equivalent to the capital Saudi Arabia burns in roughly 4 days just excavating the sand for the foundations of the NEOM project. The football club was purchased for £300 million. On the macroeconomic balance sheet of the PIF, that is not a flagship Tier 1 investment, that is a rounding error. And this creates a severe, terminal decision-making bottleneck. The sporting director sitting in an office in England does not possess the absolute autonomy to sign a substantial check. The requisition order must travel up the chain of command to Riyadh. It enters a holding pattern of global priorities. It lands on the mahogany desk of executives who are actively managing the geopolitics of global oil supply and multi-billion-dollar tech acquisitions. The ruthless, ticking clock of the European transfer market, which routinely demands snap decisions within hours, is fundamentally incompatible with the bureaucratic velocity of a sovereign state.
In the early days of this project, there was a crucial buffer between the bureaucratic crawl of Riyadh and the frenetic speed of the Premier League, Amanda Staveley. She did not provide the sovereign capital, but she provided the political agility. She was the relentless operator on the factory floor, closing deals, managing relationships, and cutting through the red tape. With her departure from the boardroom, a massive governance gap was blown wide open. The club lost its local corporate filter. Now Riyadh dictates the rhythm directly. And you must understand that the geopolitical interests of Riyadh are infinitely more complex than simply winning the English Premier League. This is where we collide with the fundamental tension between a soft power strategy and sporting ROI, return on investment. Saudi Arabia deploys its capital to launder its global image and aggressively diversify its post-oil economy. But this macroeconomic strategy frequently operates in direct opposition to the immediate sporting interests of Newcastle United. Consider the wider portfolio. The PIF has deep multi-billion-dollar investment ties with Clearlake Capital, the private equity firm that owns rival Chelsea. They pump billions into FIFA, global golf, and individual athlete sponsorships. This generates a massive structural conflict of interest. Newcastle United is not the crown jewel of a solitary, obsessed oligarch who lives and breathes the football club. It is merely one of many public relations tools wielded by a sovereign nation. And when the diplomatic necessities of Riyadh dictate that capital must flow into rival institutions, corporate partners, or entirely different sporting frontiers, Newcastle is unceremoniously pushed to the back of the queue. But even when the sovereign check is finally authorized by Riyadh, Newcastle United collides violently with another impenetrable wall, the financial ecosystem of football itself. Welcome to the economics of desperation, or as the agents in the boardroom call it, the Newcastle Tax. If Brighton and Hove Albion attempt to purchase a promising centre-back from the French League, the asking price is £20 million. If Newcastle United sits at the exact same negotiating table for the exact same player, the price instantaneously skyrockets to £35 million. Why? Because the market possesses perfect information about who is underwriting the invoice. The mere presence of the PIF logo on the term sheet artificially inflates any sporting asset by 40%. It is predatory pricing based entirely on the macroeconomic balance sheet of the buyer, not the intrinsic value of the player. And this is precisely where the regulatory antibodies of the Premier League activate. The legacy establishment built a legislative fortress known as the Profit and Sustainability Rules, or PSR. The PIF possesses the liquid capital to effortlessly pay the Newcastle tax. They could wire £100 million for any player tomorrow morning and not even notice the capital leaving their accounts. But the PSR framework strictly prohibits the club from registering financial losses exceeding £105 million over a 3-year rolling period. The American-style cartelization worked flawlessly. The incumbent owners successfully bound the hands of Riyadh with the red tape of financial sustainability. To compound this misery, Newcastle faces a fundamental barrier that no amount of sovereign wealth can magically alter in the short term: the geography of talent. The transfer market is not merely about agreeing a fee with the selling club, it is about convincing the underlying asset. You are dealing with high net worth individuals, 24-year-old multi-millionaires. When Real Madrid, Arsenal, or Paris Saint-Germain make the call, they are pitching the metropolitan glamour and commercial leverage of Madrid, London, or Paris. Newcastle must convince these elite athletes, their families, and their aggressive agents to relocate to the cold, industrial northeast of England. To achieve this, the club must pay an exorbitant location premium on weekly wages just to get them in the building, a premium that rapidly destroys their already fragile PSR margins and further paralyzes their ability to maneuver in the market. Newcastle United has become a fascinating macroeconomic case study of how infinite capital can, ironically, engineer total corporate paralysis. The supporters must accept a harsh financial reality. They will never be the next Manchester City. When Abu Dhabi acquired City in 2008, the European market was entirely unregulated by profit and sustainability rules.
Furthermore, the football club was the absolute undivided sporting focus of that sovereign state's expansion. Newcastle United arrived 15 years late to the sovereign wealth party. They found the door bolted shut by fierce legislative cartels, and their ultimate owner is simply too busy constructing half-trillion-dollar cities in the desert to bother breaking the lock. As long as the football club is treated as a peripheral public relations project, a mere geographical pin on the sprawling multi-billion-dollar map of Saudi soft power, they will remain entirely hostage to this bureaucratic bottleneck. The sporting director will continue to sit in an office in the northeast of England, desperately waiting weeks for a crucial approval email from Riyadh that more often than not arrives far too late to execute the transaction in a hyper-competitive market. So I leave you with an essential, defining question regarding the modern financial architecture of the sport. For Newcastle United, operating under the crippling administrative weight of their own ownership, is wealth a trap or a tool? I am your auditor. Meeting adjourned.